There are some general categories that we split navigation into sort of at a very high level, okay? Before we've even talked about what it is and what items go where, there's just some ways I want you to think about it, okay? And the first two attributes that I want you to consider are primary and secondary navigation, okay? I'm a big believer in dual navigation menus that make a clear distinction between primary information, which is, what people care about the most, and secondary information, which is useful, but it's not nearly as important. All right, with larger websites in particular, there's no way to account for everything or segregate it properly in one single menu. For starters, it doesn't fit, no matter how organized it may be. I recently consulted with a client who had a navigation menu that was 12 items long, horizontal navigation. Each one of those had a drop-down. Each drop-down had at least a dozen items, and then each one of those drop-down menus had 3 or 4 flyouts to the right. Too much. You got to break that up. There's no way that all that stuff is important to everybody. All right, so we split navigation into, at the very least, primary and secondary categories. Primary navigation, as you might imagine, is content that most users are interested in. The majority of people who visit this site are looking for these things. It's why they came here, all right? The core thing you're promoting, you're providing, you're selling belongs here. Products, services, calls to action. In the example on the right, that's this big blue bar, okay? This is NCQA, who is a healthcare accreditation organization. What exists in that blue bar are the primary things that they offer their customers. Secondary navigation is content that doesn't serve the primary goal. However, users may still be interested in this information. And sometimes the reason they're interested in it is because it's a way to qualify whether or not they trust you, right? Things like about us, contribute, advertise, FAQ, contact us, those are all secondary items. So again, if you look at the example on the right here, these items up in the top right corner, home, blog, contact us, I think that's stay connected for a newsletter, sign up. Those things matter, but they are, again, they're not the primary reason that people came here. So in my way of thinking, you should never see things like about us, contact us in a primary navigation menu. You're blurring the lines and you're creating unnecessary cognitive and visual competition. Separate them out. Keep in mind, however, that importance is relative, okay? It's specific to each individual site, each individual audience. The primary navigation on one website, may be the same as the secondary navigation on another site serving the same topic. General information about the company or person, for example. If it's an independent consultant and there's no company, there's just one person, that person's background instantly becomes a lot more important. All right, so you got to think about these things. For example, when there are complex products offerings or service offerings, FAQ might be the first place people go. So in that case, it does get included in the primary navigation menu. If it's a complex topic, it's hard to understand, and the first thing that happens, the primary reason people are visiting is so that they can get answers to questions, then FAQ becomes a primary navigation item. The point here is that importance changes according to what people need most. And it also changes according to what the organization needs to communicate most, right? Remember, it's a balancing act.